the roll call, starting with Mayor Pro Tem.
Present.
Okay, and then going to my right, Commissioner Gilreath,
Present.
Commissioner Curran,
I'm here.
Commissioner Fields,
Present.
Commissioner Bullock,
Present.
Commissioner Tovey,
Here.
and Commissioner Bridges.
Here.
Okay, excellent. And at this time, I would like to, and I will also welcome everybody else that has chosen to join us tonight. We are delighted to have you with us. And I would like to invite Bishop Reverend Philip Betts of Cornerstone Christian Community Church to open our meeting in prayer. For all those who are so inclined, please join us.
Can you hear me, Madam Mayor?
Yes, sir.
All right. May we pray. Oh God, we come first of all to give thanks for your blessings of life and liberty. We thank you for your grace and peace. And oh God, as we assemble this evening, we ask that your great hand of blessing and guidance be upon our city leaders, our mayor, our commissioners, our manager, attorney, each and every employee as well. And oh Lord, be their lead and be their guide. Continue to infuse our leaders with wisdom, grace, and courage, with insight, foresight, with passion, and compassion. May they lead with authority and humility. Bless each one and their families. May your face shine upon all of our citizens, young and old, citizens of every race, every color. May all be respected for who they are, regardless of their socioeconomic status. May all be valued and respected. We pray for a speedy approval and distribution of a safe and effective vaccine against COVID-19. We pray for the healing and unity of our nation in the days ahead. Have mercy upon us, O God. Be our lead and be our guide. And as the psalmist states, except the Lord watches over the city, the watchman waketh but in vain. And finally, the prophet Micah reminds us, for what is it that the Lord requires of us, but to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with the Lord our God. In your strong and mighty name we pray. Amen.
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 Commissioner Bridges, you're on.
If everyone would stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. And at this time, we will consider adjustments to and approval of the agenda. There are no additional agenda items to be added or new items, but you did receive an email with handouts related to agenda item 4F that contained six handouts. Some of them were repeats and some of them were new related to that. Beyond that, does anybody have any other comments or adjustments that they would like to make to tonight's agenda?
Yes, ma'am, I do, Mayor.
Okay.
Last month, we discussed the stop signs on Forest Road at Parker Street and Forest Road at Tranquil. So tonight, I would like to ask for consideration to vote on that.
Okay. So that, okay, so you would like to add that item to the agenda?
I would.
Does anybody have anything? Yes, sir. Does anybody have any other comments or changes?
My only response to Commissioner Curran's request is that, I did have a discussion with the police chief and I wanted to hear back from him. He was aware of where those street signs wanted to be placed. I was under the impression we would have a public safety meeting to discuss that and then bring that back to the board. And the police chief was going to get back with me, and I think it was going to get back with me in consultation with the manager. I don't know if the manager spoke to the police chief or they've had any conversation about it.
Well, since
Yes,
I've been
keep
on
up.
the board since December of 2009, we added a stop sign at Harris Street and Sunset Avenue, made it a four-way stop. We added a stop sign on Sunset Avenue and Coleman Street to make it a three-way stop. We added stop signs on Harris Street and Cherry Street to make it a four-way stop. We added stop sign on Cherry Street and Goshen to make it a three-way stop. And we added a stop sign on Coleman Street and Kearney Avenue to make it a three-way stop. Each time this was brought before the board, it was discussed at a regular meeting, it was voted on and passed. There was no public safety meeting and no discussion with the police chief at that time for any one of those.
I don't think that I recommended that we talk with the police chief and have a public safety meeting. I think that Commissioner Bullock certainly expressed some opinion about stop signs at both locations. And for whatever reason, my recollection is that we were supposed to have a discussion with the police chief to talk about that issue. I mean, I didn't suggest that. I can't remember who did, but it seems to me that was my recollection. I mean,
How about, well, I would like to suggest is that Commissioner Curran, because I see absolutely no reason why we cannot continue the conversation. We can go ahead and adopt the agenda and continue this conversation, but rather than having it under are we going to adjust and approve the agenda, maybe we could continue it. Maybe we could add this item and continue it when we get to it on the agenda? Is that possible? Because I think everybody's making really great points.
well, is my recollection wrong? I mean,
And I think I was certainly recalling that there was an intent to hear back from staff.
That's correct.
Well, there's been a month
I
to hear
did
back
raise-
and we haven't heard back. So do you want to put it off and let people still be walking and pushing babies in strollers and jogging and riding bikes in danger? Or do you want to to do something about it? That's all I'm asking. That's what my neighbors have asked me, so that's what I'm asking. It's up to y'all.
I don't think any of us want to put anybody in danger.
Okay.
I think that that's a bit much. I think that
Well,
what
putting
we-
it off next month is.
Well, I wasn't saying how long we had to put it off, and nobody wants to put babies and walkers and joggers in danger. And maybe Mr. Bullock doesn't want to speak up, but the bottom line is he expressed some reservations, and I think that we talked about having the police chief make a recommendation. That's all I'm saying.
If I can answer for myself, I will say, yes, I did ask that question. And if I remember, It was going to be directed to the chief of police, who was going to respond. And we haven't heard from him in a month, so
So can we add it to the agenda? We'll discuss it then. I'll make that motion to accept the agenda with this added on.
Okay, is there any further discussion on this? Then I will go through, and again, Mayor Pro Tem, you are still not on my screen. I'm going to do my best to start with you
Nope.
so that I won't forget you.
No problem.
So, Mayor Pro Tem, what say you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Commissioner Gilreath,
Yes.
Commissioner Curran,
Yes.
Commissioner Fields,
Yes.
Commissioner Bullock,
yes.
Commissioner Tovey. Okay, you're muted, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. And Commissioner Bridges.
No.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we are adopting the agenda with the addition, 6-1. And I appreciate everybody's conversation about that. So going forward to provide the highest standards of behavior and transparency in our governance, the Board of Commissioners has approved a code of ethics to establish guidelines for ethical standards for ourselves and to provide guidance in determining appropriate conduct. Among those, that we should avoid impropriety in the exercise of our duties and should conduct the affairs of the board in an open and public manner. I now inquire whether any board member knows of any conflict of interest or appearance of such with respect to any matters before the board tonight. If any of you do know of a conflict of interest or appearance of such, please state so at this time. Okay, Madam Clerk, please let the record note no conflicts. And at this time, I would like to invite, and I apologize that I do not have the name of the person that is supposed to present to us the USDA letter of conditions.
That would be Jonathan Jones. He has joined us on the Zoom meeting.
Okay.
Good evening.
Great. Good evening, Mr. Jones. So I yield to you.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening to the Board of Commissioners, the mayor, also the city manager. My name is Jonathan Jones, and I bring you greetings from USDA Rural Development. And I'm here tonight to offer our letter of conditions for the water and sewer improvements, the contract 2. I want to first give thanks to Miss Amy Ratliff for all her hard work to bringing us to this point. She was a very big help making this process a very smooth process. So we previously sent a copy of the letter of conditions for the contract 1, and it is very similar to what you guys have in front of you today. The only thing different is the figures. So I'm going to paraphrase the letter, and if you guys have any questions at any time, please feel free to let me know and we can stop and I can address those questions. So our letter reads, this letter established the conditions which must be understood and agreed to by the City of Oxford before further consideration may be given to the application. The state and area office staff of USDA Rural Development will administer the loan and grant funds for this project on behalf of Rural Utility Service. Any changes in project scope, sources of funds, scope of services, or any other significant changes in the project or a city must be reported to and approved by the agency by written amendment to this letter. If significant changes are made without concurrence from the agency may discontinue processing of the application. This letter is not to be considered as loan and grant approval or a representation as to the availability of funds. The application may be completed on a basis of RUS loan not to exceed $3,111,000 and a rural utilities loan and not to exceed $1,532,000 and a rural utilities grant and an applicant contribution of $250,000 for a total proposed project cost of $4,893,000. I'm going to skip to the second page. I'm just trying to hit some of the main points. The second page, it breaks down the project budget. And we took this budget directly from the preliminary engineer report, which your engineer proposed, and we approved this budget and we came up with a total figure. Down to repayment schedule. The loan will be scheduled for repayment over a 40-year term. The first principal and interest payment will be due and payable on the June 1st following the date of loan closing, or delivery of the bond and annual thereafter on the first day of June of each year. So after we close the loan, we'll have to make the principal and interest payment June 1st each year for 40 years. If you guys decide that you would like to pay early, there will be no prepaid penalty. That is acceptable. This payment will come out on pre-authorized debit. So you guys wouldn't have to worry about sending in a check. We'll just automatic draft the payment. Moving on down, disbursement of funds. The city contribution of $250,000 will be the first fund spent, followed by USDA Rural Development loan funds of $3,111,000 in the form of interim financing, then the USDA Rural Development grant funds of $1,532,000. And there are several forms that would have to be signed tonight. And I'm reading from loan resolution, equal opportunity, and assurance agreements. These forms have been emailed to the city, and after this presentation, if you guys are in agreement, we can get those signed and sent back to us and executed if you guys are in agreement. So those forms are the loan resolution, the equal opportunity and assurance agreement, as well as the grant agreement.
Jonathan,
Yes.
I just want to point out that we had a couple of corrections that needed to be made to the letter before we can sign that you and I spoke
Absolutely.
about before the meeting. So we will get those corrected and then signatures.
Okay, not a problem. Amy did discuss those corrections with me before the meeting, so I am aware of those, and I do apologize.
No problem. Okay.
Moving on down to the American Iron and Steel requirement, and this is the same as the current project with contract one. It just state all products have to be produced in America. That is something that we just started about 2 years ago, that our national office is making sure that we adhere to that. So that is very important during construction, which Amy, she's aware of with the current project. And
Jonathan, where is that stated in the letter? On what
Yes.
page?
The bottom
That
of,
would be page 5, and the
Okay,
heading is American Iron and Steel requirements.
okay, thank you.
And I addressed all the what I feel is the key remarks. And if you guys have any questions in regards to this letter, I'll be happy to address and answer those questions at this time.
Colleagues, is there anything that you would like to ask? This final letter that Jonathan Jones was referring to was the one that came in your packet tonight or at the end of the day. that Cindy emailed out, and at this point, I'm forgetting which one of the 6 it was, but it was the one that I referred to, that that it had all the new numbers in it. So does anybody have any questions for Mr. Jones at this time? Okay.
If I could, it might be helpful if Amy just describes the difference in the letter. What created the change? I think that would be helpful.
I'm sorry, what created what change?
The change in the letter, essentially, from what was provided in the agenda packet to what was sent out just prior to the meeting.
What was in the, I'm sorry.
The letter that was in the agenda packet was contract 1 from April of 2017. And since the language is virtually identical from then to now, and we didn't have the formal letter for contract 2 until this afternoon, wanted to allow the board opportunity to look over the letter. The only real change between what is in the letter in the agenda packet is the date on it and the grant and loan amounts. And we need to clean up a couple of typos where we need to get the signature lines correct and the city correct. So we'll get those corrected before we have a final executed copy.
And then, as Mr. Jones mentioned, the American Iron and Steel requirements, were they new as compared with 3 in 2017?
I'm not sure if those are actually new, to be honest. We've got about half of our projects are American Iron and Steel, so this is not an unusual requirement. If it's funded through the Division of Water Infrastructure State Revolving Fund, then it requires the American Iron and Steel. It's the state project reserve fund that does not require it.
Right. But it's new to this letter. Oh, excellent. Thank you. Board members, any questions for Amy, the manager, or Mr. Jones? Okay. Mr. Jones, we thank you very much, and we'll be sure to get you everything signed as quickly as we can.
All right. Thank you so much.
We appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to present to us tonight, and equally or more so, the opportunity to proceed with some important infrastructure work and to have such a significant grant award and very low interest loan. We cannot begin to express how much this helps us continue the really important work of improving our water and sewer infrastructure. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
And that would be one other modification, is the interest rate being 1.25% compared to the 2% from contract 1.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. Okay, excellent. So let me get back to where I am in the agenda. And now we are going to invite Phil Dixon and Gabby Barber to present to us on the Oxford Center for the Arts. And we really appreciate your patience with us while we had a little kerfuffle earlier. So thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here. And am I able to share my screen?
I think Cindy, if you give Cindy just a moment, she will happily do that.
The tension's mounting.
Yeah, well, we're excited. This will be a really wonderful way to go into the rest of our business, to hear about the Center for the Arts here in Oxford. Very exciting.
Well, hopefully we can make it positive. Okay, so I'm the co-host now. I'm going to do my best to share my screen. There we go. Let's do this and share and bring that back up. And you should all see a, let's do the slideshow. The show is not actually working at the moment, so let me go from there. There we go. Okay. So thank you. First of all, thank you to the mayor. Thank you to the commissioners and the town manager. I'd also like to say thank you to Cindy for the ad hoc intervention that she did just now. So appreciate it a lot. What we're going to do today is, I think most of you, many of you know me, if not all. My name is Phil Dixon. I've been in the town for 3.5 years now. And Gabby and I are going to do a double act and take you through the Oxford Centre for the Arts. So our plan today is to, you're seeing my screen all over the place here at the moment, but my plan today is to let you know what we're doing so that you hear it from us directly rather than through what is a wonderful, thriving rumor mill in the town. We're going to take you through what our purpose is, who's involved, and where we are. So that's the plan. So let's move on. We actually, you see two signs up here. One is Oxford Arts Centre and one is the Oxford Centre for the Arts. There is actually two separate organisations. We've established one which is a not-for-profit organisation, and we've established one which is a for-profit LLC. But both of them will be working in lockstep and with a view to pushing forward our purpose, which Gabby is now going to take you through.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Phil. So we're really just striving to bring art back into the community. I mean, that's our goal. That's our purpose. We want to support local artists. We want to provide a place for art education. We want a place for them to display their art, teach their art. That's really our overall goal here.
And there will be a place for questions at the end, but if anybody wants to question as we go, then we'll welcome that as well. So what we're actually going to be doing is the following, and I'm not going to insult your intelligence by reading all of those out, but as Gabby said, it'll be a place for local artists to demonstrate their work, to sell their work, to actually hold workshops, to teach local kids. It'll be a center for online learning, and hopefully we can have some festivals at some time and elaborate all upon this through social media. So that's the overall plan. Again, if any questions, and happy to send everyone or send Cindy the vision we have where all of this is written up so that you can all see electronic copies of it. We're planning that it'll be a place where people can come in, take their time, look around at art, watch the artist's work, learn about art. We want everyone in the town and the counties to feel comfortable, and our dream is to create an annual Arts and Wine Festival. Gabby.
Yes. So in addition to that, this is what we have so far as kind of a list of topics that we would mainly like to focus on, and then you can also see how we've broken it down again into the opportunities that could come with each of those topics. So you can see how we have artists to demonstrate. Yes, you got it. Artists to demonstrate for those different categories. Child classes, adult classes, exhibits. There's all kinds of opportunities here. So there's just a few listed. If you want to go to the next slide, Phil. And like Phil said, if anyone has any questions or specifically for this suggestions, we'd love to hear those at the end.
Okay. We'll carry on, since no actual questions, we'll carry on moving in a nice clip.
Yep.
So question why, and I hadn't really stepped back, and but I was listening to Mayor Jackie talk earlier on, and she came across phrases with serve and improve, develop growth, and improve the quality of life for the city. And we think we can actually contribute to that, because what we do know about research is it improves lives. It's a way of capturing our history and culture. We can reflect the community we have, provide an opportunity for everybody. Again, the research shows that vibrant arts adds economically, culturally, and socially. It will be working in collaboration with all the community leaders, museums, etc. But one of the things that also we learned was that we need a dedicated art center to be the focus of it. So that's what we're proposing we become. Who it is? Well, you've just met Gabby Barber. She's our executive director. Here's our initial board of directors: Peter Johnson, who is on the call with us; Tracy Dozier, a well-known local real estate agent; Kathy Walford. You'll hear more about her in a moment; Pierre Zhang from the Hub in Maine; and John Tovey, who you know very well, and I'm the chairman. One of the things we learned that such ventures in the past have stubbed their toe and actually fallen to the wayside because of a discussion about, well, what is art? Well, first of all, there's lots of philosophical discussions we could have about it, but what the approach we've taken is to choose 3 well-known artists and art critics and art custodians who will provide us with an arbitration board. And I'm not going to tell you who they are because they will remain anonymous, so that if there's any discussion that comes up about, is this a piece of art that we should be showing or demonstrating or selling, neither Gabby nor any member of the board nor myself have to make the decision. It will go to these 3 artists. I'm going to turn this back over to Gabby now, and she's going to take you through and show you some of the actual art.
Yes, so I wanted to show you, we have these artists on display currently, so I just wanted to take everyone through and show a little bit of what we have, what the artists have to display. So Peter Johnson, he's in the call. He has his digital art, and his background that Jackie actually pointed out, the green background, that is one of his pieces, that's part of his digital art. We've got Dan Whopper, he lives here in Granville County. We've got oil paintings and charcoal drawings from him. The studio on Main, which is actually myself, that's my ceramics located underneath the hub, same spot that the gallery is currently. We've got DR Knits, that's actually Danita Robinson. If you've ever been in the hub, you've probably seen her sitting there knitting. So she's got her high quality knits. We've got Jennifer Peavy and her intricate thread art. She's brand new, she's our most recent artist. We've got Kathy Walliford and her fine jewelry. Lives here, right here in Oxford. And then we've got Haven Hill Studios, which is Tom and Sally Terrell. And they've got wood turning and scratch boards. So if you want to go to the next slide, Phil. So let's start with Peter. We're just going to go through, these are some of his latest pieces. Peter mainly focuses on digital art. So this is all done, all of his pieces recently are done on a program called Procreate. So it's all computer program, all digital. I'm just going by really quick. And like Phil said, we can send this out to anyone who wants to see this on their own time. So we've got Dan Whopper next. Here's a few of his oil paintings. And then you'll see at the end, we've got a charcoal drawing, and that's titled A Study of a Lady. That's one of my favorite. I wanted to add that in here. And then here I am, the studio on Main. Like I said, this is where my pottery is located. Here's some photos of my recent work. And that teapot you just saw, that's going to be a Dragonfly lover's Christmas gift. So sending that out Friday. And then we also have Danita Robinson's knits, like I said. Her pieces are absolutely beautiful, as you can see. And each piece is unique, and she uses high quality yarn like Murano wool and alpaca. And she also does custom work as well. So she's been busy knitting away. And then Jennifer actually uses her engineering and design background to make these pieces. They're very intricate string art theory work. Each piece is unique and will never be duplicated. And then we also have Kathy Walford, and these are just a few short clips that she has of some of her jewelry. She expertly weaves those and twists the sterling silver wire around precious stones, and she creates these gorgeous pendants. I think there's one more video. That's my favorite. And then, so Haven Hill Studios is Tom and Sally Terrell. They're a married couple. They live right here. I'm not sure exactly where, somewhere in Granville County. But here are a few of her scratch boards. The pictures do not do them justice. Her work is beautiful. It's extremely detailed and incredible to look at. And Tom uses burls and wood like maple and cherry to turn those bowls you just saw and other useful items. They're both incredibly talented. Everyone you've just seen is incredibly talented. So we are currently, like I said, located at the Hub on Main, beneath the Hub on Main. So it's 100 Main Street. It's just down in the basement. But we are looking for more space. And if you were to visit us right now, you would see a working art studio, a pottery, a gallery, as much as we can right now. Like I said, we definitely need more space. But you would also see this nice kiln and wheel. I just want to show everybody that we do have the equipment. We are working now. So like I said, it is a working art studio, pottery studio, classroom space, kiln wheel. We've got everything we need. And our website is under construction right now. There, eventually we will have all the information about who we are and what we're doing, as well as events and class schedules and how you can become a part. Info, if you want to go to the next slide. We are mostly active on Instagram and Facebook right now, and that's been great just for community outreach and just getting our name out there and letting people know that we are here, we are open. And I've started doing little artist spotlights and such, so that's been great for community outreach. And like I said, we are open. We just have not had a grand opening yet. It is in the plans to have a COVID-friendly grand opening when the time is right. And like Phil said in the beginning, if we're able to, we'd also like to host an arts and wine festival next April or May, sometime in the spring. And that'll be very similar to the Beer Fest that was hosted by the Hub in November of 2019. So if anybody was familiar with that, went to that, that was myself and Ryan Turner planned that. So I would like to do something very similar, just for obviously arts and wine. Yeah, and thank you. Thank you for having us today. Thank you for your time. And like we said, we'll take questions now if anyone has any, and any suggestions for events or classes we should have, anything, any suggestions would be welcomed.
Okay, colleagues, thank you so much. Phil and Gabby, we appreciate your coming and showing us all that beautiful art and discussing these exciting ideas. Is there anyone on the board that would like to pose any questions to our presenters?
I guess that would be a no.
Well, then John Tovey, as our commissioner crossing into board member of the Oxford Arts Center, is there anything that you would like to add?
The only thing I would like to add is I just hope that everybody that can possibly support this centre do support it. It's going to be an exciting time for the centre as it grows, and we need public input and we need their support, and I think we will get it. And I appreciate the time given this evening for Phil and Gabby to present the Oxford Arts Centre to us.
So
Thank you,
thank you to you all for your time, and I'm looking forward to taking this into wonderful places along with Gabby.
I do have a question.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Bridges.
You know, I do appreciate the presentation. You know, I think the arts are so important to our community, but I wondered if y'all also were thinking in terms of how you could expand this effort, but keeping in consideration the pandemic that we're dealing with. Because I suspect that a lot of this is going to require people coming together, you know, whether it be somebody going to look at an exhibit. And I do recall you saying something about even having classes where you're teaching, you know, kids the arts and things like that. And I just wondered if that is a piece of your effort, and that is to be sure that people are safe
Absolutely.
as we develop this program.
Absolutely. So I have, like I said, we are open. We've been there. We've been doing classes. Obviously, it's very small and it's what people are comfortable right now. We are absolutely within the guidelines. When I have classes, it's one-on-one. If ever, it's two-on-one with me as the instructor, where everyone's wearing masks, everyone's social distance. There are ways to go about it so that we are safe, and we are obviously following the guidelines and doing everything we can. And ultimately, it's up to, it's about what everyone's comfortable with and what's going to keep everybody safe. And we've absolutely been able to do what we can. I mean, we can only do what we can do. And I think we've been doing just fine.
It's a great question, and everything we do will be
absolutely.
COVID compliant.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
I take that into consideration. Absolutely. When I plan anything.
Commissioner Bridges, are you set with your question? Did you have anything else you wanted to add? You're good. Okay. Yes, Mr. Thornton.
Yes, I just want to say thank you to Mr. Dixon and Ms. Barber and the other board members who are integral in getting this going. I think that, you know, the arts are an integral building block in building and growing a community. And it's great to see this now coming together. And I want all of you to know that the city supports the effort. I think that it is something that is integral to having a very well-rounded community and one that people envy, you know, quite honestly. You know, I don't have any artistic ability. I can catch a fish. I don't know if that's, you know, skill or art, but we want you to know that we support you and we want to support you. I'm not on Facebook, so we'll rely on Commissioner Tovey and others to keep us informed as to what we can do to help you, to help this initiative to grow and to prosper and to become all that we all envision, because I believe that it is something that will blossom as the city continues to grow. And we thank you for taking the initiative to do this.
You're very welcome. And you've just added to the list of artistic endeavors in that we actually do have somebody in the way of Peter Johnson who teaches people how to tie flies.
There you go. I have an additional question, and certainly know that the manager did speak for all of us that we want to do whatever we can to support you, and certainly appreciate the initiative that you've taken. If somebody, right now you have this wonderful and diverse slate of artists that you're featuring. So if any of us run into anybody that is interested in knowing more about how to exhibit or be part of your organization, is there a process? Can I just send them over to the store to speak
Yeah.
to you, Gabby? How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I'm always there. So just either send them over to the store or send them to my email or Phil's email or either one of our cell phones. That's what we've been doing up until now. So that's been working really well. So.
And are you looking to expand, or are you kind of right now you want to take it slow and do one step? So
we were taking it slow, but we're at the point now where we're ready to expand, and we need the space. So we're definitely looking.
Okay, excellent.
Yep.
Great. Thank you. Any other members of the board? Anything else that you would like to ask Mr. Dixon or Ms. Barber?
Just when do you expect your website to be completed and to be out there and available to the public?
My hope would be that it would be done in the next couple of weeks or so at most. It's happening. It's coming.
Yeah, Alan, I would just point you to my background as the fisherman that you are. Okay.
You call it art too, right, Peter?
Nice to see all of you. Take care.
Yes, thank you so much for joining. It's wonderful to see your art display as well. Thank you. Okay, well then maybe just let us know, Gabby or Phil, when the website is done, so the manager will get that input. And you know, I can think of a couple of people off the top of my head that might be interested in speaking to you further about what you're doing and maybe adding to that. So we really appreciate it, and we appreciate your patience tonight, and we hope you have an absolutely lovely rest of your evening and week.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much. Okay, with that, it is traditional that in the month of November we celebrate Arbor Day. And so with that, I have been asked by Planning Director Cheryl Hart to do a proclamation in honor of Arbor Day 2020. And so for the record, I'd like to read that. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska and is now observed throughout the world. And whereas the inscription on a monument to Morton reads, "Other holidays repose upon the past, Arbor Day proposes for the future," and so it does. For the planting of trees is an action that yields benefits for generations to come. And whereas trees can cut heating and cooling costs by creating shade and windbreaks, filter air and release oxygen to breathe, reduce erosion and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper and wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and so many wood products, each American using the wood of 7 trees per year. And whereas trees can provide privacy and reduce noise and glare, and being near them can be calming, reducing stress, fatigue, and even recovery time from surgery and illness. And whereas trees in our city increase property values and enhance the economic vitality of our business areas, and wherever they are planted, they are a source of beauty, joy, and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Jacqueline Vanderhorst Sergent, Mayor of the City of Oxford, along with our Board of Commissioners, do hereby celebrate Arbor Day throughout the month of November 2020 in the City of Oxford, urging all residents and stakeholders to join us as we commit to renewing and preserving the trees in our community so that we may gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Oxford, North Carolina, to be affixed this, the 10th day of November, 2020. And this is a great time of year to plant trees here in the South because they are dormant or supposed to be. It's a little warmer than usual. And so a good time to plant them and let them get settled in before the spring growth comes in the heat of the summer. So if you are looking to plant a tree, now's the time to do it. Thank you very much. And now I am going to move forward to item D under delegations, which is to present the CAFR Award to Hak Ung, our finance director. And CAFR stands for the Certificate of Achievement for Financial Reporting. And Hak, are you still on the call?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, there you are. I'm sorry. I'm not very good at always at picking up. So I'm going to ask you, how many years does this make for you that you have received the CAFR Award?
I lost count.
You lost count. Okay. So every year that you've been working for the city of Oxford, for sure.
That's good for the finance director. He lost count.
This
Well,
is this should be 18 or 19, and I'm grateful to receive this year's award, and the staff well deserved, and everybody worked together.
Well, we appreciate the leadership that you provide. This award for everybody, this is the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada that presents this award of financial reporting achievement to Hak Ung, Finance Director of the City of Oxford, North Carolina. And it is presented to the department or individual designated as instrumental in the government unit achieving a certificate of achievement for excellence in financial reporting. A certificate of achievement is presented to those government units whose annual financial reports are judged to adhere to program standards and represents the highest award in government financial reporting. And it's signed by the Executive Director, Christopher P. Morrill, and dated 14th of October, 2020. And Hak, you make us all look really good. And we appreciate it.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, commissioners. And like I said, this one for the staff of Oxford.
No, we appreciate you and the staff. And is there, I didn't ask her ahead of time, but Teresa Gilreath is our Finance Committee Chair. Is there anything else that you would like to add, Commissioner Gilreath? You're muted. So maybe that would be well, Commissioner Gilreath, there you go.
Just to say congratulations again and keep up the good work, and we appreciate all that you do.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Finance Director Ung, and you make us, between you and the manager, we feel very secure in our position financially, which relieves a great many hearts and minds, especially during this pandemic. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, everybody give them a hand. It's a little bit harder to the distance, but
All right. Thank you.
need it. Okay, and with that, we have lots of awards. We're going to recognize Lieutenant Lynn Curl as the Crime Stoppers Officer of the Year. And usually in past years, Crime Stoppers has hosted a magnificent banquet in the southern end of the county in Creedmoor. And every law enforcement agency designates an Officer of the Year, the Sheriff's Department, each municipality. And it's a wonderful opportunity to hear about each Officer of the Year and why they were selected. And before I continue on, do we know if Lieutenant Curl has zoomed in?
Yes, Miss May, I'm here.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Thank you. Well, we're delighted to have you here. And we want to congratulate you too for also making us look really good. And you were selected, I understand, for this year's Officer of the Year because of your tireless effort to contribute to the Oxford Police Department and the city every day. Your work ethic is truly remarkable, and you display the type of behavior that should be emulated by all. And further, your openness to sharing your knowledge with others is an example of exemplary leadership. And we are just thrilled that you have been selected with such accomplishment and to be recognized for it. And it's important for everybody to know that this is the third time in your 22-year career with the Oxford Police Department that you have been selected for this recognition. And I think it is absolutely amazing that you are so consistent in your high performance and you have remained at the top of your field over the years. To do that, to be recognized in that way. And we are just truly honored to have you and fortunate to have you on our staff and to continue to serve as an example to others. So I want everybody to give you a round of applause too, whether they're muted or not. And I'm hoping that you, even though we can't see you, that you can see us. And is there anything that you would like to say, Lieutenant Curl?
I just appreciate this award, and I do try to give 100% to the city of Oxford at all times, and just try to mold and make new police officers have the mindset that I do, that the citizens come first, and just give them the wisdom that I've gained over my 22 years.
Well, you know, in this time, again, this has been a most unusual year, and there has been a lot of tumult across the country.
Yes.
And we are indebted to you for the kind of influence that you have over other officers and the example that you set, because it makes all the difference in the world in the outlook that our community has and how our community feels about our police department. So we truly, truly thank you and appreciate you.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor.
Absolutely. Does anybody else? Commissioner Bridges, you are Chair of Public Safety, are you not? Would you like to add anything?
Simply just want to say, I'm not surprised that, with Lieutenant Curl getting this award. I mean, I've known her for a number of years, and, she's always just been someone who has exhibited excellence. And I just want to commend her and the whole police department. Obviously, I run into them at the courthouse every once in a while with cases that I have. But I must say that I feel that they do their job, and as I try to do my job. But I'm just so proud of our police department.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Does anybody else have anything they would like to add? Okay, well,
Just
another
very
round of,
proud-
oh,
just
excuse
very
me,
proud
yes,
of our
sir.
whole police department.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Tovey, I didn't hear you.
I said I'm very proud that she's won the award in the whole police department.
Absolutely, thank you. Thank you again, Lieutenant Curl. Bravo. Okay, and with that, we will go forward to the public comment portion of our agenda, at which time citizens and stakeholders may speak on the agenda as well as non-agenda items. Madam Clerk, has anybody signed up to speak?
No, ma'am.
Okay, well then we will carry on forward with new city business. Consider appointing Dickon Hausman to the Historic Preservation Commission to complete the unfulfilled term of Jacqueline Thomas. Mr. Hausman's term would expire in June of 2022. He would then be eligible for his first full term, and you have his application in your agenda packet under item attachment 4A. Recommended action is that staff recommends appointing Mr. Hausman to the Historic Preservation Commission to fill the vacancy. What is the pleasure of the board?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Curran. Any discussion? Okay, there being no discussion, I'm going to take the roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem, what say you?
Aye.
Commissioner Tovey,
Yes.
Commissioner Gilreath,
Yes.
Commissioner Curran,
Yes.
Commissioner Fields,
Yes.
Commissioner Bullock,
Yes.
Commissioner Bridges.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries unanimously, and Mr. Hausman stands appointed. And with that, we go forward to item B, consider accepting the McGill Main Street restripe and bump out design in correlation with the downtown master plan adopted by the city of Oxford in 2016. The DOEDC Design Committee requested, reviewed, and approved an engineered design specific to the Main Street bump out during a called meeting on October 21st. The Design Committee approved this engineered design with a recommendation that the city accept the design's restripe and bump out with two purposes. One, to request design be added to the Memorandum of Understanding with NCDOT as part of the scheduled resurface scope of work. And two, that we be allowed a temporary application with paint, vertical flowering pots, and mounted parking cones. And you have support information for this item in attachment 4B. Staff recommends adopting the McGill Main Street restripe and bump out design, adding it to the NCDOT Memorandum of Understanding, and using the design for temporary application. What is the pleasure of the board?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Bullock. Is there any discussion? Okay, I'm hearing somebody, but I don't think they're speaking up from the board. Okay, if there is no discussion, then I am going to ask Mayor Pro Tem, what say you?
Aye.
Okay, and then proceeding to my right, Commissioner Tovey,
Yes.
Commissioner Gilreath, Commissioner Curran,
Yes.
Commissioner Fields,
Aye.
Commissioner Bullock,
Yes.
Commissioner Bridges.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, each of you. Item C, consider authorizing staff to proceed with discussions with the Division of Water Infrastructure, the funding source for the 2018 water and 2018 sewer projects, and the NCDOT to implement the medians in the respective projects, and to authorize staff and McGill to proceed with determining cost and feasibility of adding to the NCDOT resurfacing project. This revised painting schematic matches the downtown master plan. As part of the 2018 water and 2018 sewer improvement projects, the city is constructing water and sewer on College Street. The city is exploring the installation of the water and sewer in a newly created median starting near Watkins Street and ending near or around Alexander Street for economic, aesthetic, and safety reasons. As part of the NCDOT resurfacing project that includes Main Street and the creation of the roundabout at Main Street and Spring Street, the city is also exploring the option of creating a painted median on Main Street between Spring Street and Little John Street. In addition, the city wishes to determine the possibility of incorporating painted bulb outs and revised parking layouts to the downtown streets that will be resurfaced by NCDOT in 2021 as they are laid out in the city's downtown master plan. This will require engineered plans by McGill Associates if the city is allowed by NCDOT to add it to the resurfacing project. You have support information for this item in attachment 4C. The recommended action is that staff recommends that the board authorize city staff to proceed with discussions with the Division of Water Infrastructure, the funding source for the 2018 water and sewer projects, and the NCDOT to implement the medians in their respective projects. Also, to authorize staff and McGill to proceed with determining cost and feasibility of adding to the North Carolina DOT resurfacing project a revised painting schematic that matches some or all of the downtown master plan. And let me make sure there's nothing. And so with that, what is the pleasure of the board?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Bullock. Is there any discussion on this motion?
Mayor, no discussion, but I would like to add that I would hope the median on Main Street could be a permanent median instead of they painted, but we would take what we can get, I guess. But I would hope we could afford a real median.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Manager, given Commissioner Curran's point, is there any comment that you would like to make at this time?
Yes, I would. What we would hope to be doing once we proceed a little bit further into this whole affair is to be able to present the board with essentially options in addition to what we are planning to do with the resurfacing initiative, that it would include the medians and potentially some enhancements to the striping that is going to be done downtown. That's what I will be pursuing, that we have the ability to present you with some pricing on that, because, you know, ultimately the median and its construction like that, the one coming off of the roundabout, would probably require a separate contractor to come in and do that. But we would like to get you pricing on that so that you can see it and make that determination. So we are proceeding in that fashion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I actually kind of related to that because I just realized, but I'm so excited by this project. And when we were discussing the medians on College Street, the width of them is 10 feet. And I'm not sure it was clear to me just because of the size of the schematic that we have in our agenda packet. Do we know, because that median on Main actually starts narrower on one end on the Springseed Street side and expands. Do we know what the width of that is planned to be? Okay. Maybe we don't.
The median that's planned on College Street is planned to be a 10-foot wide median. That's to allow for the parking as well as the lane of traffic. So right now that's the anticipated width.
Right, that's for the College Street one. I was asking about the Main Street painted one that is a different style because it kind of starts narrow on the Spring Street side and widens slightly. It looks like it's narrower, and that it's not a problem. I just realized that I had no idea how wide it was going to be at its widest point.
I don't think that's been determined at this point. We wanted to get some direction to move forward before we proceed with design.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other, thank you very much, Ms. Ratliff. Any other discussion on Commissioner Bullock's motion?
Thank you.
Okay, well then I will do a roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem?
Aye.
Commissioner Toby?
Yes.
Commissioner Gilreath?
Yes.
Commissioner Curran?
Yes.
Commissioner Fields?
Yes.
Commissioner Bullock?
Yes.
Commissioner Bridges?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries unanimously. And I failed to say this at the earlier item B, and also I think I speak for everyone when we thank Mary Yunt and you, Ms. Ratliff, for the tremendous work that you have done to bring these projects to us, to show us making some important moves downtown. And we really, it's quite exciting, and we appreciate all of the energy that you've invested in this. Now we move forward to item D, which is to consider executing an on-call engineering services master agreement. The City of Oxford issued a request for qualifications or RFQ for on-call engineering services and received 18 statements of qualifications in response. Executing on-call engineering master agreements will allow the city to move forward with negotiating individual contracts for projects without the need to issue specific RFQs for each one, thereby streamlining the process. This process also meets the requirements of the Minnie Brooks Act, General Statute 143-64.31, that engineering firms be selected based on qualifications. Individual task orders will be negotiated with the firm for a specific project as the need arises. The firms were selected based on their qualifications in one or more areas that match the city's needs and are listed in alphabetical order. CDM Smith Incorporated, Freese and Nichols Incorporated, McGill Associates PA, and Withers Ravenel Incorporated. And the only attachment we have is the staff report, which pretty much summarizes what is here. And the recommended action is that staff recommends executing on-call engineering master agreements for funding, planning, design, and/or construction, administration of various projects with the following firms: CDM Smith Incorporated, Freese and Nichols Incorporated, McGill Associates PA, and Withers Ravenel Incorporated. The contract shall be valid for a term of 1 year with the option to extend by 1 year increments if both parties agree. It is further recommended that the city manager continue to be authorized to execute contracts with these 4 firms up to $90,000 per city's purchase order, standards of practice for projects that do not require a budget amendment. And so with that, what is the pleasure of the board?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Tovey. Is there any discussion?
You have a question.
Yes, sir, Commissioner
I
Bridges.
noticed, at the end, it indicates that the city manager has authority to execute contracts with these 3 up to 90,000. And I was wondering, is that 90,000 total or 90,000 with each of the 3 firms?
And I will let Ms. Ratliff answer, and it was a typo, so it is going to be the 4 firms listed. But Ms. Ratliff, take it away, please.
The $90,000 as indicated is in our SOP for the city manager having authorization per project. It's not per firm, it's not per year, it is a per project dollar amount.
Commissioner Bridges, do you have a follow-up for that?
Okay, so how many projects are we talking about?
This is something that we don't typically utilize, but if there is something that time is of the essence and there is money in the budget to cover the project already, this allows the city manager to move forward with it. As you all have seen, throughout the last number of years that I've been here, we typically do bring things before the board to keep you aware of what is going on, but there may be instances that arise that we might need to utilize this. So it's not that we have, there are 5 projects waiting in the wings that we want Alan to go ahead and sign off on. It's just if this comes in the future.
Oh, thank you.
And it would also, am I correct, that it says for projects that the manager can act on this, Commissioner, if it does not require a budget amendment, meaning that there is already ample money in the adopted budget to provide for this. So it wouldn't be like all of a sudden there's engineering services running amok. Correct?
Correct.
Yep, that is correct. I'll add a little bit to that. We typically do bring things to the board, and typically, as you've seen with the numbers that are throughout even this agenda, they typically will exceed $90,000 for these projects that we're engaging in. But occasionally we do have something that is of a smaller nature, And right now, really the only thing that we have where we don't have something over $90,000 going on that the board has approved is we've got a little agreement for basically stormwater review with one of our existing engineering consulting companies to perform those services for us on an as-needed basis when something comes in, such as we get in a new Walgreens or something and they have to put in a stormwater pond. They would, an engineering firm would review that and certify that and do something along those lines. So, but typically, you know, the projects are large enough that they come before the board for approval. But as the mayor did state, we would not do something that is not without funding already in your budget.
In those larger projects, when they're coming before the board, we've already usually identified funding to cover in the source of loan or grant or whatever that would cover the cost of the engineering services for those projects, correct?
That is correct. Just as in the next item on the agenda, we have identified funds for the engineering firm and the work that they will be doing.
Excellent. Thank you. Commissioner Bridges, you good with that? Okay, great. Does anybody else have any other questions on this item? Okay, then to call out for Commissioner Tovey's motion, Mayor Pro Tem.
Aye.
Okay, and Commissioner Tovey.
Yes.
Commissioner Gilreath.
Yes.
Commissioner Curran.
Yes.
Commissioner Fields.
Yes.
Commissioner Bullock.
Yes.
Commissioner Bridges.
Aye.
Okay, excellent. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. So we go to item E, which is to consider authorizing the city manager and staff to finalize a task order with CDM Smith Incorporated for a not to exceed amount of $760,000 to proceed with the wastewater treatment plant rehabilitation project. The city was awarded $6,062,000 by the Division of Water Infrastructure for the wastewater treatment plant rehabilitation project. Engineering staff selected CDM Smith Incorporated from the newly selected on-call firms to proceed with the design, permitting, and construction administration of the project. You have support information in attachment 4E as the staff report. Recommended action is that the board authorize the city manager and staff to finalize a task order with CDM Smith for a not to exceed amount of $760,000 to proceed with the wastewater rehabilitation project. What is the pleasure of the board?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Bullock. Is there any discussion? Okay, with no discussion, I'll take the vote. Mayor Pro Tem.
Aye.
Commissioner Tovey.
Yes.
Commissioner Gilreath.
Yes.
Commissioner Curran.
Yes.
Commissioner Fields.
Yes.
Commissioner Bullock.
Yes.
Commissioner Bridges.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. That motion carries unanimously. Item F, excuse me. Consider adopting a resolution to accept a USDA Rural Development Loan and Grant Offer and Capital Project Ordinance for the 2017 USDA Rural Development Water and Sewer Improvements Projects Contract 2, which is what Mr. Jones spoke to earlier in the delegation section. Consider adopting a resolution that accepts a grant in the amount of $1,500,000 $32,000 and a loan in the amount of $3,111 at 1.25% interest from the USDA Rural Development Program with $250,000 in matching city funds and the associated capital project ordinance for the 2017 USDA Rural Development Water and Sewer Improvements Contract 2 for the rehabilitation and replacement of water and sewer mains in various locations throughout the city. And you have the attachments that were included in your agenda packet, and you also have the 6 emailed attachments that were sent to you this afternoon. Recommended action is that staff recommends adopting a resolution that accepts a grant offer in the amount of $1,532,000 with $250,000 in matching city funds and the remaining $3,111,000 repayable at 1.25% interest on a 40-year loan and the associated capital project ordinance for the USDA Rural Development Water and Sewer Improvements Contract 2. What is the pleasure of the board?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Bridges. Any discussion? Okay, and I would just like to point out how fabulous it is that 31% of the project is a grant, and we are grateful to you, Amy, and those that worked with you to get that money to make it a lower cost project for our water customers. With that, Mayor Pro Tem, what say you?
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Gilreath?
Aye.
Commissioner Curran?
I vote yes.
Okay. Commissioner Bullock?
Yes.
Commissioner Tovey?
Yes.
Commissioner Bridges?
Aye.
Commissioner Fields?
Aye.
I feel like I'm missing somebody. Everybody, because I'm going to, Mayor Pro Tem, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I just missed a tick mark. I think we're good. I didn't miss calling anybody?
No.
Okay, thank you. I apologize for that. Sometimes when people shift it gets a little harder for me on this end. Item G, though, that motion carries unanimously. Item G, consider authorizing the city manager to sign an engineering services agreement for the 2017 USDA Rural Development Water and Sewer Improvements Project Contract 2. The Wooten Company provided engineering services for the 2017 USDA Rural Development Water and Sewer Improvement Project Contract 1. The Wooten Company completed a portion of the design for Contract 2 during the design of Contract 1 and can now move forward with the remaining portion of the design of Contract 2 and construction services for it with the additional grant and loan funds that USDA has offered to the city. And you have support information for this in attachment 4G. I believe this is the contract that our colleague Commissioner Gilreath read every word of. And the recommended action is that staff recommends authorizing the city manager to sign an engineering services agreement in the amount not to exceed $400,870 with the Wooten Company for the design and construction services for the 2017 USDA Rural Development Water and Sewer Improvements Project Contract 2. What is the pleasure of the board?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Bullock. Any discussion? Okay, there being none, Mayor Pro Tem.
Aye.
Commissioner Gilreath. Commissioner Curran.
Yes.
Commissioner Bullock.
Yes.
Commissioner Tovey.
Yes.
Commissioner Bridges.
Aye.
Commissioner Fields.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries unanimously. With that, we move forward to the consent agenda, which item A is to.
No, wait, Commissioner Kern added a motion.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem. Okay, back to our add-on item, which was Commissioner Curran's bringing up the whether or not we could move forward with stop signs at Forest and Parker and Forest and Tranquil. And Commissioner Curran, I would ask, can you clarify how many stop signs you were thinking of at
Okay. On Forest and Parker, we would make it a three-way stop. Currently, you stop on Parker coming onto Forest. Now we would make you stop on Forest to continue through. Then at Tranquil, currently you stop on Tranquil to enter Forest, and I'm proposing to have to stop four-way. You would stop on Forest to continue through in either direction. It was questioned about putting signs this close together, the necessity of that. So I went out the last, we put a stop sign on Coleman Street at Kearney Avenue, and it's 285 feet from the stop sign at Cherry to the one at Kearney, and it's approximately 565 feet from that stop sign from Kearney to Penn Avenue. We put a stop sign on Cherry Street and Goshen. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, Cherry and Goshen. Made that a three-way stop. It is 530 feet approximately from one stop sign, the one at Broad, to the next one, which is the one we put in. Then we put in a stop sign, made it a three-way stop, Coleman and Sunset. There's a stop sign at Goshen, and it's approximately 580 feet to that next stop sign. From Tranquil to Parker, it's approximately 570 feet. So it's pretty much the same as all that we have done recently since I've been on the board. I spoke to some neighbors, people in the area, and they were all in favor. Let me change that. They were none of them were opposed to both of them having stop signs at both locations. They told me they were aware that police department cannot be everywhere all the time, but there's a safety issue with speeding. This street has become I guess it's a cut through to go to Food Line, to go to Revlon, to that area. It's a city street. Everybody's got every right to travel it, but they need to travel the speed limit, which is 25. I dare say people come through running 50 miles an hour. And the only way you can slow them down is put stop signs in there. It's 570 feet from Tranquil to Parker. You could be running 60 miles an hour and stop when you got to Parker, when you cross Tranquil. So that's why I'm proposing it. That's the information I've put together, the people I've talked to. So if there's any discussion, that's fine. I'll put it in a motion and then you can discuss it.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Previously, you mentioned on High Street and right behind Webb Place. What is that street?
Well, right along in there, High changes to Forest.
So is that right there where right behind Webb Place?
Yeah.
That's right. It's somewhere in there. I don't know. It
Okay.
changes from High Street to
Okay.
Forest.
That's what okay. I was just trying to make sure I had the right area.
That's right. So Parker is right past that, Mayor Pro Tem, going to your left, right, it's at the corner of Forest Hills Pool, is that correct, Commissioner Curran?
That's right.
Right, okay,
What-
and then,
Okay, so I'm still wrong. We're not confused. So I'm thinking closer back up to where the fence is. What is the name of that street?
Military.
That's, Military Street comes out
Okay,
up there. And
That's not where-
up there it is Military and High.
okay.
And then when you get down to Parker, it would be Forest.
So that's the next left.
right,
That's correct.
right, so
That's
you're
correct.
thinking about the one that is right at the brick house on either side,
Right.
and then you go, if you continue in the Food Lion direction, right after the brick house that's on the corner of Military is the Forest Hills Pool, and then the hill starts to go down.
Right, I got you now.
To the left is Parker.
That's
I'm with
correct.
you now.
And the pass through the woods, I think, is on the between Webb Place and that property that goes back to Kingsbury, I think.
That's where the water, the sewer pump station is.
Right, okay. Excellent. So, Mayor Pro Tem, did you have anything else, any other comments on this at this time?
No, ma'am. I was just trying to make sure I had the right location.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Bridges, as Chair of
Yes.
Public,
Yes,
well,
ma'am.
I also see Commissioner Bridges, why don't you go and then I'll go to Commissioner Gilreath.
Yeah. I believe Chief Coley is on this Zoom, so I would certainly like to hear from him. I think Chief Coley will tell you, since I did hear one of my colleagues mention something about we hadn't heard anything in a month. I think Chief Coley will tell you that I spoke to him 2 to 3 weeks ago and did indicate to him what had been discussed and asked if he would, go over there or have someone go over there and take a look to make a determination about stop signs being in that location. And I apologize for having the audacity to try to speak for Commissioner Bullock in terms of the last discussion we had about this issue. I was just looking for corroboration relative to my recollection of the discussion. But I would like to hear from Chief Coley. I do have some concerns about stop signs at both locations. I do agree that traffic in that area needs to slow down, but I was a little concerned about stop signs being in the 2 locations. So if Chief Coley could comment, I'd appreciate it.
And then we'll circle around after the chief back to Commissioner Gilreath. Chief? I see him.
Thought I saw him.
I see.
Okay.
Okay, well, we're waiting to see if he can get on. Commissioner Gilreath, do you want to go ahead and make your comments, please?
Well, I was just curious. I mean, I'm not. I haven't studied all the details that Commissioner Karen is referring to, but it seems to me that the streets over there are pretty wide, and as a result of that, it would seem like that number of stops would cause a little bit of confusion. Whereas you may be in the center of that road and not even see all of those stop signs. I mean, because I think we have similar issues with some of our cones for our pedestrian stops, crossings.
Okay.
And so would we be creating other hazards, not intentionally, but trying to fix one issue and only to create others.
Okay. Yes, Commissioner Tovey.
I'd just like to add that living in that area, I often come down Parker to turn left into Forest. And as you know, it's on a hill, it's on a bend, and you can look to your right and pull out and cars will come through there very, very fast indeed. It's not a blind corner, but it's almost a blind corner. So I understand fully the wanting of a stop sign there at that particular point.
These are all excellent points. I am not, it would be nice if we could hear from the police chief, and he is not, oh, I think he's reconnecting. So I wonder if he disconnected. So let's, if we can, does anybody else have another comment while he's trying to get back on?
Mayor, he has
Yes, ma'am.
tried now twice to get on. I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay. Can you maybe send him a message that maybe he should try to phone in? Is that possible?
We can try that.
Okay, and in the meantime, do any of my other esteemed colleagues want to make any comments while we're seeing if we can hear from our chief?
Well, I would support the comments made by Commissioner Tovey. That curve / hill right there in front of the pool
Okay,
can be very difficult to see.
Okay.
I definitely think we need something there.
Thank
Hello?
you, Commissioner Bridges. Yes, Chief Coley, we can hear you now. And
Okay.
we don't know how much of the conversation that we've had you've been able to hear. But
I was able to hear. I just my phone, I don't know what was going on. It was unable to unmute, but I seemed to get it straight. Yes, let me bring some clarification to it, and I appreciate Commissioner Bridges speaking upon it, because we did speak about this, and I did personally go out there on several different occasions, and I observed the stop signs in question. And as far as my recommendation in part is the three-way stop, I totally agree with the shortness of the sight distance and the grade of the hill. It leaves very little reaction time for someone to pull into the roadway, especially if someone is speeding. However, due to the close proximity of the three-way stop that is proposed, the four-way stop, currently there's 2 stop signs there. On the occasions that I went out there, and it was multiple occasions, I did not detect a high rate of speed going through, and I went there various times of the day, morning, at lunchtime, in the evening, and I think I may have seen actually one person walking in that area. Not to say that other people don't walk and that people pushing baby strollers and everything may have not been out there, but I didn't observe them. Now, due to the close proximity, I know in the past, I haven't been requested to look at stop signs. The only time that it was brought to the police department's attention, basically, is when we had questions as to traffic curbing, speed bumps and things like that. And since stop signs are designed for traffic control and not pedestrian, we went out there on different occasions and put speed signs out there. We had officers to sit and run radar. We had officers just to go sit and observe. On this occasion, with COVID and everything going on, I took the opportunity to handle this personally to ensure that it was done. Now, I'm not opposed to putting, I'm not completely opposed to putting a four-way stop there, in the sense that if it'll add safety and if it will save a life or save someone from being injured, of course, I am all for it. However, with the request that was given to me, I purely took it upon as a traffic issue.
and a speed. So looking at it from that point, the three-way stop seemed very reasonable, very plausible to implement. The four-way stop being the close proximity. I know Commissioner Curran have the distance on some other stop signs that are closer, and he mentioned 2009 when they implemented some closer stop signs, and I can't dispute that. I don't know that to be false. I believe it is true if he went out there and looked at it. However, just looking at this, and since 2013, since I've been here, and I thought the board was maybe making this request in a sense of using more of their resources to come up with a wider view of the issue and how maybe we could accomplish safety and accomplish the citizens' request. So that's, in a nutshell, I looked at it from a speeding standpoint. The three-way stop, I totally support it. And I'm not against the four-way stop. I just thought that maybe if we went with the three-way stop first and seeing how actually it worked when we implemented it, was it effective? Would it slow down traffic? And if that's the case, and if it not, then go back, and we always have an opportunity to add 2 more stop signs at the four-way stop. And that was the way in which I thought that this would proceed. But I don't want it to be taken by any board member or anyone that's listening out there that the police department is derelict in the requests that are made to them. That request was made, and I went out there on several occasions, and we did come to a conclusion about it. Now, at the end of the day, of course, the board can take this and choose to do however they feel, but we were on top of it, and we immediately responded to the request and looked at it in that sense. And that's about the short of it.
Okay, yes, I see.
Coley, thank you.
Thank you.
I see Commissioner Bullock has something to say, and thank you, Commissioner Bridges and Chief Coley.
Just want to clarify, when I made the comment that we hadn't heard anything, I was not implying in any way lack of response or lack of performance. I was just saying it came up at the last meeting, and we hadn't heard anything in the meantime.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Commissioner Curran or oh no, Commissioner Fields has a comment, thank you.
No, I'm just looking at the map, and is Forest and Parker a three-way, correct?
Yes.
And then Forest and Tranquil a four-way.
Correct.
Okay.
That is what Commissioner Curran has proposed, and as I understand from the chief, he is suggesting starting with the three-way at Parker to see if that addresses, and then to reassess Forest and Tranquil after doing the first one at Parker. And Mayor Pro Tem, did I see something from you?
You did.
Okay.
I would like to, after we hear from the chief, I appreciate that. That definitely gives a perspective, but I would like to hear from the manager to see what his thoughts on it would be.
I'll be glad to chime in here. If there's any responsibility for information not getting back to the board in what is deemed to be an inappropriate amount of time, it's my fault. I will tell you that the next day that the request was made, I did convey that request to the chief of police, and then the following week, which was 2 days after that, followed up again with the chief. He and I have had a couple of conversations about the results and what we would recommend. And I'm essentially in agreement with the chief of police that I believe that the most appropriate course at this time is to install that three-way stop and see how effective that is. If that does not control the speeding, then we go to the four-way stop in addition to that. And I have a particular perspective on those areas. I live there. And I do see, the excessive rate of speed that those people not only come up the hill, but go down that hill. And, I live in that area. I walk in that area. I walk my dog. My kids walk my dog. You know, my wife walks the streets with me. So, yeah, it is a particular concern for me. But I do believe that I think that it would be a pertinent and appropriate thing to do to install a three-way stop there and see how that effectively controls the traffic, and make the request of the police department that they monitor that, especially once the three-way stop is installed, and be as much of a presence as they can possibly be to gauge the effectiveness there. You know, it is something that we will need to try to get across to the public as quickly as we can what the plan is, so that they are aware of it and it does not catch them by surprise, hopefully. That, you know, now they got to come to a stop there, because some people come through there just, you know, just ridiculous. It's 25, but a lot of them don't do 25. I can promise you that. But I'm in agreement with the chief of police. He and I have had that conversation a couple of times. I've conveyed some information to Commissioner Curran about those conversations. And if there's any blame here as far as not getting that back to the full board and or setting up a public safety committee meeting, I will shoulder that blame.
No. So that's not what, well, I didn't want it to go that way. I appreciate it. I was just wanted to hear your take on it. Now, to clarify, because I'm still a bit confused, we're just adding a stop sign because there's already two there, making it a three-way stop. Is that?
There's one at the Parker.
So it's one, and we're going to add two more signs.
You're going to add the two in each direction, one in each direction going on Forest.
Hand me a piece of that, John.
Horizontal.
Right, so that anybody who's coming up high towards Food Lion, they're going to have a stop sign at that intersection with Parker. And then anybody who's coming down Forest towards High is going to have a stop sign at that corner before you get to the pool at Parker.
Okay. I mean, I'm not disputing. I agree with the chief, and I agree with the manager. I'm okay with that. I just was trying to get some clarification. I'm going to have to ride down there and see, because I'm still confused.
Okay. Commissioner Curran, do you have anything to add since you brought this item up?
Yeah, I can clarify a couple things. When I stated in 2009, that's when I came on the board. We didn't make any kind of recommendations or any kind of ordinance or plans at that time. What I said was in 2009, when I came on this board, and since then, we have put in these signs, and we didn't have public safety meetings, and we didn't have to go through the police chief to do that. My other comment is I cannot imagine what time of day anybody could have gone through Green Acres and Forest Road and not seen anybody walking. There's, sitting in my driveway, somebody walks by my house continuously. Up and down Forest Road continuously. And if you only saw one walker, he was not there at the right time.
And please keep in mind that it increases in the summer with kids coming out of the pool, walking home.
But anyway, if the suggestion is for Parker and Forest, from the manager and the chief, that's fine. We'll start there and see what, but I would like the speed monitor to be put up on somewhere on Forest Road to check the speed of cars going through there. Not at the stop sign, but somewhere up and down Forest.
And I don't want to belabor the point. I wish we had a transcript of our meeting when we discussed this. You know, if I'm wrong about the fact that we were to contact the police chief and then possibly schedule a public safety meeting to discuss it, then, you know, I'm wrong. But I distinctly remember that being the discussion about having stop signs at those two locations. And I didn't suggest it. I just simply responded because I believe the mayor said, Mr. Bridges, you need to contact the police chief and possibly schedule a public safety meeting to discuss these stop signs. Now, we can go back and look at the transcript, but that's the only reason that I brought that up.
And excuse me, just for clarification also, as far as at the intersections, Commissioner Kern, I've been through Green Acres several times, and you're absolutely right. I see people walking just about every time I come through there in the day. However, at that particular intersection, the times that I came out, I've only saw one person. And there again, they may have crossed at different times just when I wasn't there. I know there's walkers and pedestrian traffic in the Green Acres area. And when I go down Hunter Street or any of the other streets down there, I normally see someone walking a dog or someone out jogging or doing something. But what I was referring to was at that specific location.
Excellent. Thank you. And Commissioner Bridges, I have a terrible memory in terms of my remembering that I may have been the one that suggested that, but I certainly left with the same impression that you did. So that said, we are having a robust discussion and are fortunate that because of the conversation last month, the manager communicated with the chief and the chief has been out there. So we're able to get good feedback, which I think we all appreciate. Does anybody have any other comments that they would like to make with respect to this item before I call the question?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
since the motion was to do it at both sites, I would propose a substitute motion that we start with Parker doing a three-way, check it out, and if necessary, come back later at the second site.
At Forest and Tranquil. Okay, we have a substitute motion made by Commissioner Bullock. Is there any further discussion on the substitute motion? Okay, if there is no further discussion on the substitute motion, I'm going to do the roll call, starting with, as a matter of fact, let me make a little note for my own notes. I'm going to start with Mayor Pro Tem. What say you?
Aye.
And then going to my right, Commissioner Gilreath. Commissioner Curran. Commissioner Curran?
I vote no.
Okay. And Commissioner Bullock.
Yes.
Commissioner Tovey.
Yes.
Commissioner Bridges.
Aye.
Commissioner Fields.
Aye.
Okay. So that motion carries 6-1. And I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Commissioner Curran for bringing his concerns to the table. I want to thank Commissioner Bridges as Public Safety Chair for remembering how we had let it go at the end of the last meeting. And I want to thank everybody for their comments, and Chief Coley and the manager for their Chief Coley for following up on the issue and going out on multiple occasions for checking it out, and the manager for his comments as well. And
Madam Mayor,
yes, sir.
I would like, I don't know how appropriate it is or who do we ask to do it, but Commissioner Kern made a good point that to put the speed monitor out there so people will know. So does that go to the city manager or
the police chief?
I think with both Chief Coley and myself on here and hearing that is the desire of the board to see that, we'll we'll take care of that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
Mayor. Any further comments from anybody before we move on? Okay, and thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for making sure that I didn't forget to discuss this before we went to the consent agenda. So, which includes reappointing Reverend Willie S. Darby to the Oxford Housing Authority by request of Xavier Wortham. His new term would expire in 2025. Accepting the October finance report from our newly celebrated Finance Director Hak Ung, and the meeting minutes for October 5th and 13th. What is the pleasure of the board?
Motion.
Motion from Commissioner Bridges. Any discussion? Okay, and I'll do the roll call. Mayor Pro Tem,
Aye.
Commissioner Gilreath. Unmute. Commissioner Gilreath? Okay, thank you. Commissioner Curran? Thank you. Commissioner Bullock?
Yes.
Commissioner Tovey?
Yes.
Commissioner Bridges?
Aye.
Commissioner Fields? Unmute, please.
I'm sorry, aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, with that, we are at the end of our agenda. And I'm going to say some dates, and then we'll check to see if anybody has anything else to add. Tomorrow, the 11th at 11 a.m. is our Veterans Day tribute outside here at City Hall at the Veterans Memorial. Commissioner Bullock, do you have anything you want to say about that?
I would refer to Ms. Yount, since she's been working with Post 90 on that specifically. Unfortunately, I'm going to be in Roxborough. Our national commander's coming there, and since that post is in my district, I will be over there.
Okay. Ms.
Mayor.
Yount? Yes, Chief?
If it's possible, if I could say one thing.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to acknowledge Miss Yancey and her husband, Larry Yancey. They did an appreciation on October the 29th for the police department. It was a drive-through, and they presented the officers with gifts, and they blew their horns, and posters were made, and it was very appreciative by all of the officers there and everyone in attendance. Dr. O, our chaplain, was there, and it was just phenomenal the way in which they showed their support for our police, especially during this time of COVID and time of unrest in other areas. And I just wanted to thank her publicly for taking the time to do that.
Yes, sir. She did a tremendous job organizing that. And am I correct that she brought you all food? She brought you lunch?
Yes, ma'am. She had lunch for us too. It was a great day, and we really, really appreciated it. We took pictures and we put some on our website. I know one picture was in the paper, but I did want to, I'll be remiss if I did not comment on that show of love and appreciation, and all the officers were commenting about it, and we really felt great about it. So thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Chief, for bringing that up, and obviously doing the kind of job, you and your staff, that made Miss Yancey and her husband feel like they wanted to do a shout out to all of you, and it was extremely generous and thoughtful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, going back to Miss Yount, is there anything that you want to say about the event tomorrow?
No, we just plan to be there at 11. I'm a little concerned about the rain because I know that several of the veterans will likely not come out, but we have the gentleman that started the Veterans Life Center out of Butner is the primary speaker. So that's all I have.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So everybody come out to that. And then on the 20th, remember, there's the Thanksgiving food drive, and where our folks are working with, I think, DSS to select families, and they will take a check or dollar bills if you forget when you go to the grocery store to pick up something to bring by. And then the employee luncheon from 12 to 3. And, oh, and there's some more on the back. Closed the 26th and 7th for the holiday, and then Saturday, the 28th after Thanksgiving is Small Business Saturday. So come out and support our downtown. And with that, I'm going to go to my right and see if, oh, it looks like our clerk, Ms. Bowen, you have something you'd like to add?
I do. I neglected to add that we are closed tomorrow. City Hall.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And I appreciate you pointing that out. Commissioners, anything to add? Commissioner, starting at my right, Commissioner Gilreath.
No.
Commissioner Curran.
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, Commissioner Bullock.
Nothing.
Commissioner Tovey.
Just one thing. People have been calling me, and it's pothole season, and I'm sorry to lay this on Alan. It's pothole season. High Street, Hunters, Tranquil, there's some bad potholes that need a little bit of stuff in them. That's
Have
all.
an update. They were working on Tranquil Drive today.
All right.
Honeth was fixed today.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Commissioner Bridges.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention the same thing. I mean, I've hit that pothole leaving my house, and I mean, it jarred me. And I happen to have my grandbaby with me. You know, I mean, I thought my tire was flattened. It was so deep. So I hope that somebody will go and put something in there. I do want to say this. We talk about spending money all the time with projects, and you know, I'm talking multi-million dollars of money. I would suggest that we spend some money to prevent what happened to this meeting tonight.
Yes.
And I'm saying, you know, with all due respect to Ms. Bowen and other people that set these things up, we need to hire some kind of expert to make sure that our meetings are not crashed. I remember my grandmother, when I was about 11 years old, talking to me about her encounters with the Ku Klux Klan. And for me in 2020 to be sitting in a meeting, getting ready to say the Pledge of Allegiance, and to have to look at a tape of the Ku Klux Klan crashing our meeting bothers me.
Bothers me as well.
Well, I hope it does. I hope it does.
Terrible, and I agree 100%.
And it is amazing. Now, we've had this problem for a period of time, and I am offended that I can sit in a meeting as a commissioner and to have some folks cussing out my mayor, calling women in this meeting names, and then to be able to play a tape of the Ku Klux Klan is just, it bothers me to the core of my soul that in this day and age, folks can do that kind of stuff. And if y'all aren't all offended, I'm concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Well said.
I think we were all taken aback and offended. So thank you very much. And I'm sure the manager, I'm sure everybody agrees we want to find a way to assure the security of our meetings. And so I'm sure we'll keep looking. Commissioner Fields.
Just go on the lighter side of things. From now on, since we're on Zoom, when we get ready to applaud someone, organization, we're gonna borrow a sign from the hearing impaired world. This is how you clap when you can't hear. This is how you clap.
Oh, great.
Let people know you clapping.
We
Just
can
to
do
lighten
that.
up the mood.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem.
No, I was just going to say, I was going to bring up what Commissioner Bridges said, but I do want Ms. Bowen to know that it totally has nothing to do with her, because she tried, and we set up the meeting. We had to sign up for it. So I think we could spend a little money, because it is offensive. And, some of the things that were said, especially to women, I'm sorry that everyone had to hear it. And it's just, we're living in perilous times. And,
Sad.
it's to come to a meeting and hear it, we're so divided now. And it's just sad, but I just pray that things get better and everyone be safe. And thank the police department for their hard work, because they are going through some things. And everyone, I don't know anyone who has not been affected by this COVID. I'm doing some consulting work, working with, and I know this is off topic, but I feel the need to share it.
Are you still there?
He muted himself.
No, I didn't. I said, I know this might be off topic. I said, but I wanted to share, I'm doing some consulting work. And I don't know anyone who has not been affected by COVID. That was my first point. And then I was going to say that the number of child abuse cases have almost tripled. I know it doubled as of last month, but now they're almost tripling because of, the parents at home with.
Well, you just muted again, Commissioner.
It's not me. I'm not doing it, so I don't know what's going on, but I guess that's my cue. I'm going to be quiet.
No, but we appreciate, because what you're saying is important and it's terribly worrisome. So we heard you say that you believe that the child abuse cases have now tripled.
They have, well, we get reports at the end of the month, so it's getting close to the triple. Abusing, neglect, because, parents can't feed their children, and it's stressful. Some school was a refuge for children, and now they don't have that. So it's a little tough.
And that circles right back to the distress about, in my mind, the distress about having our meeting invaded, that it is beyond me how anybody can do this. And if you've got the energy, why would you take your energy to figure out how to bomb somebody else's meeting when there are so many other important needs in the world? So thank you, Commissioner, for bringing up the children, because that's certainly an important one. And lastly, I wanted to give a shout out to Mary Yunt and Christine Luskovich, who worked very hard on their jubilation. And I have to expose my ignorance, because I had not seen The Grinch in so long that I did not actually know that jubilation was the word that came from the movie. But they did a phenomenal job with their ladies' night out on Thursday. They had 50 people come out, nicely spaced, to the Orpheum for the champagne toasts, 50 ladies, and then to go to various establishments that had stayed open. So it was really wonderful to see women going from store to store and then ending up at the hub with a final little toast and a drawing for a gift basket. And then on Friday, they had the family fun night, and there were families and kids and the food trucks and the movie, and Commissioner Gilreath and her daughter were at the movie, and children writing letters to Santa, and Commissioner Tovey out there making popcorn for folks, and it was really something to see. And then on Saturday, the car show with, if you can believe it, the coal-fired car. That was amazing. And more people out and about. And so they worked really, really hard, and they got people out and about in our stores in downtown Oxford. And so I'm clapping.
Well, I do want to let you know that the food collection that we did, we collected over 600 units, cans, pieces of food that went directly to the Boys and Girls Club. I delivered that today along with the help of Tina Cheek and the Parks and Rec Department. Because it wouldn't all fit in my car, and so I had to use their van. So we were able to take that over, and it'll be given to families for the Thanksgiving as well as for their Christmas food giveaway distribution. We did 44 letters to Santa. And I've had calls from 3 of the Main Street businesses who have told me that Saturday's business was the best weekend that they've had in a very long time. So we're very pleased. It wasn't just activity on the street, it was activity inside our stores. And so that is one of the other purposes of that particular event, is to get people into our stores that have not been there in quite a while. We did take quite a few precautions with our art. We had volunteers from Oxford Prep, many of the students there. They were cleaning pens, and they were cleaning the checkerboard pieces. So we tried and took every precaution to mitigate the risk of any kind of COVID. We made sure all of our volunteers had masks. We asked people to wear masks. So from that standpoint, I think it was a great success that we kept our community safe first and foremost, and yet still had a very successful and engaging event.
Thank you.
Thank you for the recognition.
No, it was great job. Mr. Manager, anything else that you would like to add?
No, I think we've said it all. I've been here a long time. I just got through eating some ibuprofen. My back's killing me from sitting in this chair for the last 12 hours. So, you know, I think we're good. I want to wish everybody a happy Veterans Day tomorrow. I know it's going to be raining, but, you know, do what you can to recognize what the veterans have done for us in this country. I'm also very pleased that Election Day is done and we don't have the signs all over the yard like mushrooms. But we'll do everything that we can to investigate how we better control the Zoom bombing. That's just, I don't know. I'm still shocked that, you know, people would do something like that. It's just beyond me to even think in that capacity, to even think of doing something like that. But I guess it takes all kinds to make the world go round, but we need to do our best to screen them out from the democratic process that we have here, and we'll endeavor to do so.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Mr. Attorney, anything else?
No, ma'am, I don't have anything to add.
Okay. Well, then I appreciate everybody's patience with the chaos earlier tonight. And shout out to to Miss Bowen for getting rid of the infiltrators. That was that big deal. And I know we all are grateful to you for that. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Tovey, and so Mayor Pro Tem, what say you?
Good night.
Okay, good night, sir. Commissioner Gilreath. Commissioner Curran.
Good night.
Good night, sir. Commissioner Bullock.
Aye, good night.
Good night.
Oh, now you're hopping around. Commissioner Tovey.
Aye.
Commissioner Bridges.
Aye.
Commissioner Fields.
Aye.
Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you all for your attention. Godspeed, be safe and sound, and do something that will help you relax tonight. Thank you so much. Good night.
Good night.